in your mind, when you look at the record books and all this stuff, man, who are your top 5 Gopher receivers?
My top 5, man. I gotta go with you, OG. I'm gonna go you. I'm gonna go Bait. I'm gonna go Ty. I'm gonna go E. Decker. And then for what I'm about to do this season, what I believe I can do, I'm gonna put myself.
Hey, I like it. I like it.
On the field, in the broadcast booth, Ron Johnson is Minnesota sports. One-of-a-kind opinions, big-name guests, the teams you care about every day. It's the Ron Johnson Show, part of Locked On Sports Minnesota, and it starts now.
Welcome to the Ron Johnson Show, and I'm your host, Ron Johnson. In today's show, well, we've been talking about free agency. Wild did not make it to free agency with Kevin Fiala. People were wondering where he's at. We're going to talk about that a little bit. Something happened with Kevin Fiala in the Minnesota Wild, but also in the Daily 3, we got to talk about Spurs. There's a lot of trades going on. Wild are part of one. NBA-wise, Spurs are part of one. But should the Timberwolves start making trades as well and get some of this draft capital that people are willing to give up for key pieces? We're also going to talk about the Gophers. NILs. It's a big topic in college football. You heard my take about Herm Edwards and what he thinks about it. Can the Gophers finally compete? And then the Twins. Got to talk about that. As I bring Sam Ekstrom in, my producer, before we jump into this, what's going on in today's sports world, Sam, we have a word from our sponsors.
We do. It's LinkedIn. As the sun comes out and small businesses are back in business, LinkedIn Jobs makes it easier to grow your team. LinkedIn Jobs helps you find the people you want to interview faster and for free. Create a free job post in minutes on LinkedIn Jobs to reach your network and beyond to the world's largest professional network of over 810 million people. Add your job and the purple hashtag hiring frame to your LinkedIn profile to spread the word that you're hiring so your network can help you find the right people to hire. Simple tools like screening questions make it easy to focus on candidates with just the right skills and experience. LinkedIn Jobs helps you find the candidates you want to talk to faster. Did you know every week nearly 40 million job seekers visit LinkedIn? Post your job for free at linkedin.com/lockedonmlb. LinkedIn.com/lockedonmlb to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply.
Well, Sam, it's a lot going on in the sports world, but what's on your mind today?
There is a lot going on. Twins collapsed last night. We're going to get to that. Big trade in the NBA. Could the Wolves have been involved? We're going to get to that. But I think the A topic in Minnesota right now is the Kevin Fiala deal. Kevin Fiala was rumored to be on the move. Wild don't have a lot of money to afford him, and he ends up signing a whopping extension with the Los Angeles Kings, who traded for him yesterday. Here's what the Wild get, Ron. First-round pick, number 19 overall, and Brock Faber, a Minnesota native, University of Minnesota player. He is the captain for the Minnesota Golden Gophers. He's a defenseman, 19 years old, very much a prospect, probably a little bit away from joining the big club. But the big takeaway is Fiala for a first-round pick. How do you feel about that return, Ron, for a star forward who's definitely going to remove a lot of goal scoring from this roster?
Well, as you and I were talking before the show, you mentioned they get 2 first-round picks now. I think anytime you can get 2 first-round picks, it helps your future. It might not help you right away, but it's going to help your future. That's also 2 first-round picks. Let's just say there is a guy, there's a number 1 draft pick out there that you really want. You can package 2 firsts to go up and get the overall first pick. There's a lot you can do when you have 2 first rounds. I think you said 2 seconds now, right, as well?
Yeah, so four in the first 2 rounds, yep.
Yeah, and so you can package, 2 seconds. If there's somebody that's like, we don't really have anything in the first, and get you a 3rd first to now take 2 of your first and go up higher. You still have 2 solid first-round picks, and you might not need that second. If you're like, normally we only need 1 first, 1 second that's going to contribute. But again, that's like, in football, imagine that. If you can, look at the Jets. The Jets went out and had 3 first-round picks, and everybody said they had the best draft of the draft. They got all the pieces. They got sauce. They got guy after guy that's going to help them. Does it matter? A little bit, but if those guys never play, no. So this is what I say about this trade. Great trade. One, like you said, the money Kevin Fiala wanted, they probably couldn't afford him. The money that people were willing to give him in comparison to what the Wild have to do as far as getting other guys, they still have to offer possibly money to Nick Bukestad. If you heard yesterday about what he's doing, he's never been a free agent. He's never been healthy going into free agency, and this year he was. So he's like, hey, let's see. I mean, if Kevin Fiala is getting this kind of money, what kind of money can I get? And so when you think about that, when you think about all these pieces of the puzzle, this is what I'll say about Brock. From Minnesota, Maple Grove, played at the University of Minnesota, young, has 2 years of international play, played on the World Juniors, looks like they got a gold in 2021, and then finished 5th in 2022. And he played for the U.S., so he has some international experience. And we know that international play is very key. You see it in basketball too. You see a lot of guys now, these international players are coming over pro ready. I think in hockey, same thing. You're seeing some of these international guys come over here. I mean, look at the one we have, Kirill Kaprizov. It's one of those where everybody's like, hey, maybe this is the guy. This is a guy. And so Brock Faber has that. You look at the draft picks, again, you have 2. So can you draft 2 guys that maybe one team wants for a guy you want? I mean, there's a lot you can do with that. So I think in the end, you don't have the big contract anymore that you have to worry about giving Fiala. You didn't lose him for nothing to just free agency where he's going to go test the market and see what's out there for himself. So honestly, in the end, I think it does work out for the Wild because you get rid of a guy that didn't show up in the playoffs. I think that was the key. It's what have you done for me lately? I think Stephon Diggs got that big $72 million deal from the Vikings because it was a what have you done for me lately? And what did he done? The Minneapolis Miracle. So, and he's still worth it though. Now we're realizing like, okay, this kid's real. Because that next year we're like, what's going on with this dude? Like all this money and he's not doing anything. Well, now we know he's definitely worth it. He just didn't gel well at that time with what was going on with the Minnesota Vikings. Same with Fiala. Maybe a new adventure for him and, paying him like the top guy, treating him like 1A, 1B. He'll go out there and do that. But he didn't do it for the Wild when they needed him. Everybody's tweeting memes of a milk carton. Where's Fiala? Well, now we know where he is. Somewhere with Carmen Sandiego in L.A., and he's going to get paid. And now it's up to the draft of the Wild. Guerin, what are they going to do? Like, that's the key. What kind of team does he want to build? And I think Nick Bukestad said it best. He has that championship pedigree. He knows how to create a team to win. And so if you're right here, you're like right at the cusp. If you beat the Blues, you're going on to play the Avalanche. Now it's like, how do we get over that hump? And I think that's what the Wild are doing with that move right there. Similar to the Vikings. The Vikings have kind of been there. How'd they get over the hump? Well, they added Kevin O'Connell. I think that's what they think is going to get them over the hump offensively. That's where they feel like they can get better defensively. Let's change it up, 3-4. So again, change is not always a bad thing. It hurts sometimes when you lose a guy that everybody knows, but hey, it might work out in the end. I don't know. What do you think, Sam?
Yeah, so I think you still have the problem of how are you going to fill the goal-scoring void this year? Because Faber is not going to do that this year. Your draft picks are not going to do that this year. So you still have that void. So you have free agency, so you still have an opportunity to sign someone. Not to a lot of money, not to a Fiala contract, but here's why I think Faber is important to this year. Faber gives you organizational depth to where you've now got this stable of defensemen. If you want to create another trade offer, give up a defenseman or 2 that are highly regarded in exchange for a forward who's highly regarded, well, suddenly that's cashing in your assets for something you need. And I think Faber now gives them some insurance to say, all right, we're more willing to part with the defenseman in exchange for a forward to find that goal scoring. And I think that's why Faber provides value for this year, even if he doesn't set foot on the ice.
Well, that'll do it for the first segment of the Ron Johnson Show. Up next, for those watching on YouTube, thanks. This is why I'm wearing this shirt. We got Chris Autman-Bell coming up. Gophers wide receiver star. He's going to talk about the top 5 receivers in Gophers history. He has an interesting one in that list. I wasn't expecting him to do that, but he did it, and I love it. Chris Autman-Bell's up next. He's going to talk also about his hoop squad. He might have the best basketball team, if he can go back and grab former guys in NCAA football history right now, that they can win a Big Ten championship with him, Tyler Johnson, Rashad Bateman, Brevin Spanford. So let's see what Chris Autman-Bell has to say. And for those on the podcast that cannot hear, thanks for downloading us wherever you get your Apple, Spotify, if it's the marketplace, if wherever you get your podcast, we appreciate you. You can't see it, but it's a lovely maroon shirt, has an axe on it. On the back has the score of the Gophers game against Wisconsin this year. Thank you to the Minnesota Gophers for sending it to me. Love the shirt. And back after this, we'll have Chris Autman-Bell. So welcome back to the Ron Johnson Show. I'm your host, Ron Johnson. And as promised, let's go for football. I got to have my BU Get the Act shirt on. It's a Gopher football day. We got Chris Autman-Bell, Gophers receiver. As I bring him in, Chris, I'll never forget meeting Chris when he was a young whippersnapper, came into the program. And first thing he said, well, he called me OG. So I'm like, man, I'm not that old yet. Like I remember being in Detroit calling dudes OG. And I'm like, that's like Chris Carter. And I'm like, man, and then I'm like, dang, I am 42. So, but I remember meeting Chris, him and Tyler Johnson, Rashad Bateman, Coach Matt Simon had me down for practice. And it's been love ever since, man. I love watching them. I got to go on the road to do the Indiana game. And it probably was the best Chris Autman-Bell game I've seen. But I got to see it from the sideline. I got to interview him on the sideline after the game. So what better way to be a sideline reporter than to have a receiver be the player of the game? But as I bring Chris Autman-Bell into the show, of course, I'm just going to jump out there, man. Like, one, I love your game. You remind me of me. I'm looking for big things from you this year. But when you talk about roll the boat, there's a lot of stuff going around. And then I even had like a NFL coach on, and he talked about roll the boat. I had a coach not even from the Gophers program, and he talked about roll the boat and what it meant. To you, what does roll the boat mean to you?
To me, man, I think roll the boat means love. It means sacrifice. It means being there for your brothers, being there for whoever, getting through certain storms, getting through the hardships, and just getting through everything, just pushing and never stopping. It means just putting your all towards everything. To me, it's been something that I've been used to since I've been in this culture, in this program for the longest. I've known about it since they were back at Western too, so it's kind of been instilled for me for the past like 8-9 years. So that's what it means to me.
Yeah, when you think about, of course, there's negativity floating around on the internet. People are never completely happy with something. To guys like that maybe, either don't understand or, football didn't go the way they thought it should go. How can like that mindset just change when it's like, you know what, everything happens for a reason. You end up where you are for a reason. What do you say to that?
It's always going to be good and bad in everything you do. You just got to keep going. Life isn't easy for anyone. Everyone goes through something worse than you as well. So for me, I just get up and wake up every day. And if God gave me the day to be here and be here today to talk to y'all, and I'm grateful. I couldn't be more. I'm alive. I tell people that all the time. Man. When they ask me how I'm doing, I say I'm alive, bro. I can't do anything about that. Like I'm good. I'm here. Like I'm healthy. I get to do what I get to do. I get to play football. I get free education. Like that's life for me. So it's just you gotta take it for what it is, man. Like if you're alive, man, and you live in life, you're great. You're healthy. You're happy.
Yeah, and I see the Tyler jersey on the back, so I got to talk about that. Tyler Johnson, Rashad Bateman, you played with two of the best receivers in Gopher football history, man. What have you learned from them?
Man, I learned so much from those guys, man. Literally, Bates in town still, and I'm built Bate every day. And every time Bates came up, we watched nothing but highlights of everyone. But those guys, like, well, those are my brothers, man. Those are my roller dogs. So what I learned from those guys, man, like Ty especially, his release game, his patience, his just how he reads his coverages. He knows Ty knew the game inside and out, man. Ty was a great guy. And for Bates, how fast he plays, how his releases as well. Just these guys like really complete receivers, and that's something I took from these guys. When I got here, I was, don't get me wrong, I'm a great ball catcher, but for when it came to being a complete receiver and playing the game as a receiver, those guys did it well, and that's something I looked up to. So I learned nothing but great things from those guys. And I still watch film of those guys literally every day. The Minnesota stuff, the NFL stuff, I watch everything. So shout out to my dogs, man, 6 and 13 for sure. And still Demetrius Douglas too, man, who's a silent GOAT. So shout out to all those guys, man.
And when you look at, this season, you got a chance to do something that a lot of Gophers wish they could have done. My senior year, I got a chance to win the Axe. What's different, though, we didn't get to rush the field like you guys got to. What was that like, man? Because I was there, but from a player standpoint, being on the field, win the Axe, and then it just is pandemonium, fans on the field. What was that like? What was that like the whole day?
It's nothing better, man. Like, I literally just had this conversation with I have an internship working with kids. I had a coworker I was talking to this about literally yesterday, and I was telling him, it's like, man, it's the stuff that you dream about. Like, as a kid, I used to watch college football a lot, all the greatest games. You just wish to be in these great games, these moments. Even though Minnesota, like, it wasn't my dream school at first, but still come and play at a great division school, and now I fell in love with being here in Minnesota, being a Gopher. It's just something that you always dreamed of, man. Just seeing the final score go to zeros and seeing all these fans just rush and rush. It's nothing but full of love and joy that your team just won. It's something crazy, man. Especially winning the Axe, man. We love winning the Axe. It's beating rivals, and being a rival is it's something that's just always a part of the game. It's nothing better than that, man. So that has been exciting, because even having the Penn State one and then getting the Wisconsin one this past year, having two field storms is something that some people never get to see and experience. So I'm nothing but blessed and grateful for it.
Yeah, and and I got to create a little controversy out there. So I sent you a question about top 5 receivers. You don't have to put them in order. But if you had to pick, you don't have to put them in order, because we don't want to create too much drama. But if you want to, go ahead. But in your mind, when you look at the record books and all this stuff, man, who are your top 5 Gopher receivers?
My top 5, man. I gotta go with you, OG. I'm gonna go you. I'm gonna go Bait. I'm gonna go Ty. I'm gonna go E. Decker. And then for what I'm about to do this season, what I believe I can do, I'm gonna put myself.
Hey, I like it. See, that's where I was gonna go, man. Because when I see your game, man, and what a lot of people don't realize is you remind, and we just had this debate about Jake Reed. He played with Randy Moss and Chris Carter. Like, that's where I see, like, Jake Reed was a 1,000-yard receiver in the NFL. He was good for 3 straight seasons. My producer, Sam Ekstrom, reminded me of that. And then he got Randy Moss drafted to him, and so I feel like, you're kind of that same. Like, you had 3 years of great receivers, and so you just played your role, and now you're getting your chance to kind of step up and shine. And like for pound, man, watch you run fade routes, slants, aggressive power. Like, I got to throw you up there. So I like that, man. I like that 5. And now here's another good controversy, because the coaches, man. So I talked to Kenny Burns was on the show, and he told me his 5 coaches that he would, because I said, if you had to go play the players, who are you taking out there? And I have to go back and watch the show. I think we're going to pair the videos together of you two's comments. But I think he said Matt Simon, the big offensive line coach. I forget his name already. Who's offensive line coach?
Callahan.
Yep. So Callahan, PJ himself, and there was one more person. I forgot who he said, but he said those would be his 5. So if you had to take 5 players on your team, the best 5 Hoopers to go challenge the coaches, who are you taking?
For sure, I'm starting off #1 draft pick. We're going Brevin Span forward.
Okay.
I need my point forward right there. I'm going with Brev for sure. I'm gonna put myself. Me and Brev is that's the craziest duo ever. I'm not gonna lie to you. We got some heated hoop sessions. Me, Brev, Michael Brown Stevens got another little sneaky guard who's athletic. I'm gonna go Daniel Jackson as well. Give me Daniel Jackson, and then give me Braylon Oliver, sneaky little. A big guy in the post, so I need those guys to run the floor with for sure. You get up and down the court on everyone.
So if you had a position battle, receivers versus tight ends versus offensive line versus linebackers versus quarterbacks, it sounds like you're saying the receivers have the best hoopers on the team.
We gonna ball for sure. We can stop if we can stop Brev, and contain him. We gonna ball for sure.
So if you were, but in your receivers room, then who's the #1 receiver?
Oh, they know who it is. It's number 7. It's Crab. It's me. They know who Big Bro is when it comes to hooping. Don't get me wrong, they got some hoopers in there, but they know what it is, man. I don't gotta say too much. When they bring up basketball, I don't have to say nothing because everyone knows already what's going on.
So who would you put, like, if it's you versus Tyler Johnson and then versus Rashad Bateman? Like, who's the best out of those 3?
I'm not gonna hold you though. They might have me. I'd had some hoop sessions with Bate and Ty. Those they got it, man. They really got that for sure. But don't get me wrong, I competed with them. I got it. I still did my thing, but I still put them above me for sure because I seen them do some unrealistic stuff while hooping and stuff on some summer nights. So, but I'm still up there with them though for sure. But
because I was gonna say, like, would you Bateman, Tyler, Brevin Span Ford? I don't think there's another Big Ten football team that could beat you guys
I
in
promise
basketball.
you it's not. If I could show you the sessions we had, man, I'm telling you, we would win the Big Ten championship at basketball if the football team had a team. I'm telling you. I put all my bread on it.
I like that. I like that because I think about Ty. I've seen Ty's highlights. I've seen Rashad Bateman's highlights. I got to check yours out. I've heard Brevin can hoop. So yeah, like that would be a Big Ten championship from a football basketball standpoint.
We literally come to blows when we come to basketball. We argue, we fight up and down. I didn't have to fight screens from Brev and pick and rolls and Ty all game. It's crazy, man. I got us for sure.
And last one before I get you out of here, man. Like the NIL. There's been a player-created NIL that's going to benefit all the Gopher football players. It's called the Twin Cities NIL Club. And because I'm a former player, I got the email about it. I got the app update. Explain to fans what this NIL is going to do for all players and then what the goal is to build from this.
Oh, yeah, for sure. It's just I love that what NIL has done for all the players around the world. It gives us a chance to make some money and make some cool things off our names and get us out there. But for this experience, it gets the fans around the team more, connects us with our fans more. You get to come and hang out with us, whether it's virtually or come see us in person or whatever. We get to play games with people. It's all types of stuff, man. It's just us interacting with our fans and being more into it. And it's just going to be a great experience for all of us, man. It's really exciting. We're ready to get started.
Well, you heard it there from Chris Autman-Bell. Make sure you guys check out the Twin Cities NIL Club. It's player-driven, so you don't have to worry about where the money is going. These are going to benefit the players. Also, though, this is going to help recruiting going forward for Gophers football, so please check that out. I want to thank Chris Autman-Bell, my little bro, for joining me on the show. Top 5 receiver. I'm looking forward to it. I can't wait. Vikings Game Day Live. I cannot wait to get out there. I got some other stuff in the works. I can't really talk about it yet, but I know Chris Autman-Bell, Mo Ibram. I got a couple guys on my list from Fox 9. We're gonna make this work. We're gonna get this out there. So I got a couple guys on my list that I got to get a hold of this season, and we're gonna do some cool stuff for the pregame show and some other stuff coming up on Gophers football this year. But I'm Ron Johnson. That's Chris Autman-Bell. Stay tuned. Daily 3 is up next. That's 3 questions, 3 minutes each. Well, now you've heard from me and Sam. You've heard from Chris Autman-Bell. You now know his top 5 receivers. If you don't, make sure you go back and watch that segment. But up next, we got the Daily 3. That's 3 questions, 3 minutes each. Take it away, Sam.
This is a packed Daily 3 today. We're going to start with the Dejounte Murray trade. And you might be asking, what does this have to do with the Timberwolves? Murray is traded from the Spurs to the Hawks in exchange for 3 first-round picks, as well as 3 pick swaps, 2023, 2025, 2027. So the Wolves were apparently in the running until the last moment in this deal. Eventually, Murray gets traded to the Hawks. Do you think the Wolves would have been smart to trade 3 future firsts for Dejounte Murray? Would you have been interested in that deal?
So this is the thing about Murray. This is his 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So it's going on his 6th, 7th season, right? So when you think about what you get out of this kid, you think about his stats, you think about his ability. This year, the 2021-2022 season, played 68 games, 21 points a game. He almost averaged a triple-double. He 9 assists and then 8 rebounds. He's coming from the Spurs, so we know Pop. We know what he creates there. I know the goal is to find guys like this. He is a point guard. So that could be the thing, but then you're literally giving up your entire team pretty much for this guy. Like your future is completely gone. Like your future, if you go get Murray, is 100% gone. Like you have nothing left. And so I'm looking at the stats. I'm looking at everything with this. Here's where I go with this. I would be a little bit nervous about this. He's a 6'4" kid with a 6'10" wingspan, so nothing special. He is a point guard, so he's not small. He's not in the 5'10", 5'11", 6 foot range. He's 6'4", so you are getting a solid-sized point guard. You're getting a guy out of the West who's played against some of these top guys. He wasn't requiring a ton of money at the time. He was only making $2.3 million in 2019. So, and I don't know what Pop teaches. I don't know if he's a team first guy because of the Spurs, culture, if you want to call it that. You think about Tony Parker, Manu Ginobili, all those guys. Like, you never heard from those guys. You never heard. That's the problem too. You never heard from Murray. Like, he wasn't like a guy that was going to be in the media talking about himself. Like, Pop controls that team with team first. Let's not do anything to put ourselves in the media. Let's not give anybody bulletin board material. I struggle with that because I don't feel like I'm not saying he's not a star, but we personally just didn't see enough of him because of how the West schedule goes. When you got, like, you're going out to Golden State, you're playing at a 10 o'clock sometimes our time here because it's an 8 p.m. tip-off there. So you're not watching a lot of Spurs basketball when they're playing those West teams. So I don't know if I'm giving up 3 first-rounders, but the other part of that is maybe if it's a trade with D'Angelo Russell, maybe you don't have to give up 3 first-rounders. If they're willing to give up D'Angelo Russell to get him and then give up maybe 1 or 2 first-round picks, then maybe I do that.
Yeah, I would love to hear what our affiliates over at Locked On Sports Atlanta are talking about today, how they view the deal. I think that Atlanta had to do something to surround Trae Young with a running mate. Like, Trae Young's good. Trae Young is a number 1 kind of player. I never felt like he had a number 2. I thought he had a bunch of role players around him. John Collins is nice. Bogdanovic is nice. But I think this gives him a bona fide number 2 running mate to try to win something in Atlanta. And they're just 2 years away from being in the Eastern Conference Finals, right? So they were right there a couple of years ago. Everyone.
This is one thing I don't like about that, though. The Trae Young, I feel like, is a point guard by size. So I feel like they're adding 2 point guards. But again, I get it. NBA is different now, small ball, because that was the whole problem with the Timberwolves not going to get Steph Curry. So, hey, maybe they're onto something.
Yeah, a lot of people are mentioning that for Murray, anomaly. They're using the word anomaly with last year. He was like a triple-double guy. He was 21, 8, and 9 were his averages, which is far better than he'd ever done before. And a lot of people are saying, big stats, bad team. The Spurs weren't any good. And I don't know. I didn't watch enough Spurs to know whether or not that's true or not, but I know his age is right. He's only like 25, 26. The stats are amazing. He played under an amazing coach in Pop. So I think if you're the Hawks, if you're going all in, I think that's a good move to make. And before the next question, I'm going to tell you about the big news at Arcade 1UP. NBA Jam is back. Your leader in at-home retro arcade games is not only bringing the best game ever back, but they made it bigger than ever with a Shaq Edition machine. It's the first sports game ever to feature real and digitized NBA licensed teams. No fouls, no free throws, nothing to slow the game down, no quarters required. Compete with friends and family through all new Wi-Fi leaderboards, making you more connected than ever. Pre-order now from arcade1up.com. That's arcade1up.com for an estimated early September ship date. Arcade 1UP has got even more classics like Golden Tee, Mortal Kombat, and many others starting at just $3.99, and they're giving away a Shaq Edition machine to a Lockdown listener. Enter for a chance to win a game console for your man cave at arcade1up.com/lockedon. Arcade1up.com/lockedon. You can enter up to July 8th. That's coming up. Don't miss out. Enter today. Who are you going to play with? We heard from Chris Autman-Bell how the Gophers are starting an NIL club. I want to get your take on this too, Ron. It looks like it's $199 to join the club, and the money goes to the players. Your thoughts?
I think it's good. I think that's a nice, easy number. It's not $500, it's not $1,000. I do think I'm gonna that's why I'm glad they started this. I know I have a conference call coming up soon with the athletic director, Mark Coyle. I forgot what date is scheduled, but they emailed me and asked me when I was free to discuss some stuff, and so I know it's probably a part of this deal. And I think it's like in 3 weeks, which I'm gonna try to get Mark Coyle on our podcast. I'm like, hey, you want to meet with me? You come on my show. But like my thought about this with that is, I think there's other levels to this. I think you can add, different sponsorship levels. Like $199 is the entry level. 500 is like, or $499.99. You got to make it sound good. So $499.99 gets you X. $1,000, $999. Just call it even. $500 and then $1,000 gets you X and then X. Like everything you add, you utilize the players. Because the thing about the players that they can set up that the school cannot. The players can invite friends and family to practice for open practices. So maybe that 500 adds another level of what you get to do with your player at practice. Maybe the $1,000 is another level of what you get to do with your player at practice or after the games. Maybe there's a $2,000 level where the players work it out with their parents, whoever's putting this together, and say, hey, Delta Airlines, can you put a package together to get these guys on one of the road games? There's a lot of it's a good start because there's a lot of levels to this of where they can go with this money. And the fact that they're spreading it out across, and I think they want to come up with, and it says the players involved. And this is the problem that I think they're going to run into. Devil's advocate. My guess is when it says players involved, because I've read it on the site, means whatever players are signing up to say, yeah, I'll do autograph signings, I'll meet fans, I'll hang out after practice, XYZ, I'll do TikToks with some fans, whatever it is. But if you're getting players signing up that are not your top guys, what value is that to the fan? I don't know who's running it exactly, but I would be very careful. Nothing against walk-ons, nothing against them. But I'd be very careful in just throwing in a bunch of kids that nobody knows. That's when that NIL membership becomes watered down. And you're like, I don't know if I want to do this. Like, I don't know who Sammy Samimoa is, or I don't know who Tim Anderson is. Like, who's Tim Anderson? No idea who this kid is. Oh, he went to Osceola High School. Still don't know who he is. Like, that's what you don't want. You want your Chris Autman-Bells, your Tanner Morgans, your Mo Ibrahams, your Brevin Spanfords. You want your names and names in there. You want your Braylon Olivers. You have to keep the names in there. You want your Michael Brown Stevens, and this is why. If I'm Michael Brown Stevens, I'm getting Uncle John to agree to some FaceTimes. Like, hey, if you pay $199 and you get an autograph with whatever you want to pay hey, you're going to get a FaceTime with my uncle, John Legend. Like, I'm going to set that up. I'm going to call Uncle John from the field or whatever, and we're going to FaceTime Uncle John. And who really cares about Uncle John? They want to see Chrissy Teigen. Like, you're going to get to, unless it's a mom, but we're going to, and women love Chrissy Teigen too. She's funny. But, we're going to FaceTime Auntie Chrissy. And, like, that kind of stuff will get some fans and some younger kids even with $200 because they got their Pell Grant money or their lunch money. And they're like, hey, look, I get free food. Let me go ahead and put $200 in this, and I get to FaceTime with John Legend and Chrissy Teigen. I'll do that. Like, it's more than that to just get them to do a cameo for you. So, hey, why not pay it to the Gophers and realize Michael Brown Stevens can do this? So there's a lot you can offer to a fan group. So I think it's good overall to get more players to see this. The bigger that pot grows, they're only offering like 1,000 memberships this year because they want to, see how it's going to go. How much time does it take from them? They're still students. But then after that, then you open it up. And then now and now players coming in can say, hey, man, our NIL has over 5,000 members, and if you do that math, I mean, I'm not good with math real fast, Sam, but $200 times 5,000 members, it's $1 million, Sam. You take that $1 million, there's a yearly subscription, there's a little bit of money. You divide that over 100 kids, it's 10 grand. So now you've created a $10,000 for every person on the team type of atmosphere, type of deal. I think it's good. I think it's worth it. But hey, they got to build it, and this is year one, so we'll see where it goes.
Yeah. I don't see John Legend or Chrissy Teigen on Cameo, so this might be the only way to get a hold of them. I think you got to make that the platinum level NIL club, the $2,000 level.
$5,000, yeah. You get Chrissy Teigen and John Legend after the Wisconsin game or something.
That's awesome.
Or the game they come to. Like, if they come to a game, hey, you're going to get to come to dinner with Uncle John and Chrissy. Like, I might have to send him a DM about that. Let me do
Uncle that. John gives the pregame speech. How about that?
Exactly.
In song with a piano. All right. The worst bullpen collapse yet amongst a million bad bullpen collapses. It happened again in the most damaging way possible last night. So the Twins come back from 3-0 behind. They send it to extra innings. They score 3 in the 10th inning. Max Kepler, a big home run. And then the wheels fall off. It goes walk, hit, wild pitch, home run, walk off, game over. Guardians score 4 in the 10th and win 7-6. So the Twins collapse again. The lead is down to 2. Ron, this keeps happening to the Twins. What's going on?
So you're heading to the Orioles series. And if you look at the Orioles, like, decent team. but they just got the doors blown off by the Seattle Mariners. They're 5th in the AL East, so not great, 35-42. So you're going to face a team who could potentially give you 3 games. So but mentally, you don't want to go into that series knowing we let the Guardians off the hook, like Denny Green. They were who we thought they were. Like, you have to finish this out. You've had so many leads and you keep losing. I don't know if I've seen more leads blown by a team in like a whole season. Like, this might go down for a 30 for 30 when this year is done, because they're almost to the halfway point. And I think we said this with Aldrin Martin. When you go to the halfway point, you want to have a decent cushion, because this is when now mental, toes, body, everything starts to get like, okay, we're almost there. We're almost like, we're already at the halfway point. And I've always learned it best with the halfway point. The old adage, the dude that swam, like he had a mile swim to go or something. He had to swim a mile in rocky waters, cold. He swims literally halfway, panics, and swims back. Well, he ended up swimming a mile anyway, because you had already swum a half mile and then you turned around. So if he just kept going forward, he gets there. Just like the whole like dude digging, the meme of a guy digging for a diamond and he's like right there, and then he gives up because he's like, look, there's no diamond back here. 2 more chops, diamond. So there's all those old adages. And this is where I think they are with the baseball team right now. They're at the they're getting to that halfway point, and it's like, can we do this or do we fold? Do we have enough in the bullpen? Do we feel like we're going to have a year, like, is it just going to be inevitable we're going to play the Yankees and collapse again at the end of the season? You don't want that doubt to creep in. So what do? You have to put your foot on the throat.
I think that this is a depressing stat. So the Twins have had, as we mentioned yesterday, the lead in all 4 of these Guardians losses. They've had the lead in the 8th inning or later.
Mm-hmm.
If they win all of those games, Ron, the lead in the division would be 10.
Yeah.
10,
well,
and it's 2. Right
10's
now.
my number. I always say, let's look at their last 10. Let's look at this 10-game stretch. So, we're not going to count this Guardians game in this 10-game stretch. I'm going to start it at this Orioles. That's the next one. They got to go 7-3. Like, they got to start to get that momentum back, because they had it early. They were on fire. And now that doubt creeped in a little bit. So they gotta find that energy. But that'll do it for the Ron Johnson Show. I want to thank Chris Autman-Bell. I want to thank the Gophers for the shirt. Love it. Anytime I can wear a shirt that says we beat the Badgers, I'll take it. Thank you. We heard about Fiala. We know where he's going now. Thank you to all the sponsors. LinkedIn, we enjoy it. We love you. Appreciate it, all you do. Please make sure you subscribe on YouTube. Share, like, and comment. Also, download and take us wherever you get your podcasts. Just search Locked On Sports Minnesota. You can find the Ron Johnson Show, all of our segments, or the whole show. Whatever you want. It's a buffet. You take it, and you digest it. That'll do it for me and Sam. See you tomorrow.